Hey, this is BrogiNaric. I'm back again with another review. Today, I'm going to be talking about Umbrella Academy Season 1, which dropped on Netflix last Friday. The Umbrella Academy was a comic book that started, I think, back in 2008. It was one of those comics that I saw, and there was a lot of good word about it, but I always would forget about it and never got around to reading it. It was a comic book created by frontman of My Chemical Romance, Gerard, and it was written by him and it was drawn by Gabriel Ba, and now it has been developed for TV on Netflix by Steve Blackman. This series was really good. I didn't know what to expect going into this, but I was pleasantly surprised by the outcome of it. Just a quick synopsis. In an alternate reality, back in 1989, 43 women around the world gave birth all at the same time. They weren't pregnant before, but just out of nowhere, they all give birth. And this billionaire named Sir Reginald Hargraves, played by Colm Foray, he goes around and he adopts 7 kids, and he turns them into the Umbrella Academy because these kids have special abilities, and he's going to turn them into a superhero team to save the world from some impending danger. And so that's what the Umbrella Academy is. And then some years later, he dies. Sir Reginald Hargraves dies, and in that time, the kids have grown up and they've all split apart. They come back together, to come for his funeral. And then there's one. They all have different numbers, 1 through 7. And one of the kids, number 5, he disappeared, and he comes back. And he warns the family that in 8 days the world is going to be destroyed in an apocalypse, and they have to work together to save life itself. And that's the general synopsis of the show. And I'll get deeper into it in my spoiler review, which would be dropping after this review. Like I said, I haven't read Umbrella Academy, but I did do some research on the comic before I watched this and while I was watching it. And from what I can see, season 1 is a combination of the first volume, called I think Apocalypse Suite, and the second volume, which I believe was called Dallas. It's like season 1, because they're short issues. They're short volumes. I think they're like 7 or 6 issues each, and this season 1 is a combination of those two. And I was surprised at how much of this unique comic they've kept and how much they changed, and the differences between those. Some of the more positives on the show, it has a great soundtrack. Like, they have so many different, I'm surprised at the many songs they have in this. Some of them are like classic 80s and 70s songs with like modern day renditions of them. Some of them are older songs, and it's really good. The action is really good. And another thing that surprised me was the special effects. Like they just canceled Punisher and Jessica Jones, and like the Marvel Netflix shows, the budgets weren't that great, and the special effects were all right, but they didn't really do a lot with their budget. But this show, they put a lot of money into it because there's some great CGI effects and practical effects. There's a character named Mr. Pogo who is a humanoid chimpanzee, and he looks very close to what you see in the new Planet of the Apes movies. He's not that good, but it's like pretty damn close, and on a Netflix show budget, that is amazing. So let's talk about the team 1 through 7. We have number 1 named Luther, played by Tom Hopper, aka Spaceboy in the comics, and he's played by Tom Hopper. And his superpower is he's super strong. He's the leader of the team. He's the number 1. He's basically a big Boy Scout, and he was the most loyal out of the family. He's stuck with the dad damn near to his end. And he ended up spending 4 years on the moon, the last 4 years on the moon, as a part of a mission that his dad sent him on. And he has a rivalry with his brother Diego, and he has a crush on his sister Allison, and we'll get more into that. Then there's number 2, Diego, aka the Kraken, played by David Castaneda. And his ability in the show is different from the comic. In the show, his ability is he can throw any object any object he can throw, he can curve it, and he has really good accuracy. In the comic, his power is he can hold his breath for an unlimited amount of time, but he's also really good with knives. So in the show, they just made like throwing knives is his ability, like more like a bullseye type thing. And He has a rivalry with number one. Number one, number two. They're kind of got like almost like a Cyclops Wolverine type rivalry going on. And he's the only member of the family who kept fighting crime once they split up. He's like a vigilante, sort of low rent Batman type thing going on. And he's a hothead. He's a tough guy, but he's also still like a man child. And he rubs everyone the wrong way. And we got number three, Allison, aka the Rumor, and her power is she has sort of a mind control, and she can alter reality, but she has to speak to someone and say, "I heard a rumor." So like it was like there's a scene where they're stopping the bank robbery, and she's like, "Hey," she talks to one of the guys. She's like, "Hey, I heard a rumor you shot your friends in the foot," and the guy gets mind control and he starts shooting the people and that's working with him in the foot. So that's how her powers are. Allison is played by Emmy Raven Lampin, who hasn't been in much. This is like one of the major things she's been in. She's really good, and she is fine as hell. We got number 4, who I think is probably one of the breakout stars from this. Number 4, Klaus, played by Robert Sheenan, and his ability is he can talk to the dead. And he's like the fuck up of the family. He's a junkie. He's a thief. No one takes him seriously. He's lazy, and but he has his issues. And I like they kind of explained why he's the way he is. But he is hilarious. Robert Sheenan did a great job in this show. The way his comedic timing is just really good. Then we have another great character, number 5, aka number 5, played by a young actor, Aidan Gallagher, and this kid was really great. He did some funny stuff in the show. His ability is like teleportation / space jumping, and when he was young, he was 13, he wanted to not only teleport, but he wanted to travel through time. The dad told him, "Don't worry about it, because you're not trained for that, and it's not, it takes too much of a toll on your body." But he said screw that, and he was messing around, teleported in through time, ended up stuck in the future, and then he comes back to warn the family, that sometime in the future there's an apocalypse, and he comes back 8 days before that to try to stop it. Okay, we're back. There's number 6, who is their brother Ben, who passed away. And then there's number 7, aka Vanya, played by Ellen Page, who is the ordinary member of the family. She has no powers. And because of that, the father didn't treat her well, which then made the family treat her badly, and they always look at her in a negative light. But then there's something that she does that makes it worse in the time when they've grown up. So she really doesn't have a strong connection with her family because she was isolated from them, because while they went to fight crime, she was stuck at the house and left alone mostly. And she also plays the violin, and she's just living her life, and she wants to be close to them, but because they're so toxic towards her, she ultimately is like, you know what, I don't even want to deal with this. There's also Pogo, played by Adam Godley, who is the humanoid chimp. And then we have 2 of our villains, Hazel and Cha-Cha. Hazel's played by Cameron Britton, and Cha-Cha is played by Mary J. Blige. And they're really good. They're from the comics in the 2nd volume, and in the comics they're both men, and apparently they're also neo-Nazis in the comics, but they're not neo-Nazis in this. And they're 2 hitmen that's been hired to deal with number 5. And they're, you got one, Cha-Cha is like business oriented, and then you have the other one, Hazel, who is kind of tired of his job, and it's like he doesn't like the bureaucracy or the middle management stuff, and he's kind of over it. And they're really badass. Mary J. Blige needs to be in an action film. If they can do another John Wick, I think she'd be great in that, because she does great with her action stuff. And Cameron, he does great with his action stuff too. They make him look like a beast. In terms of negatives, there's only one negative that stands out to me. There's a bit of plot convenience involved that comes in a little bit later. That was the only thing that kind of bugged me, because everything else was so tightly written. Some people might have a problem with there's a little side story that happens. It mainly focuses around Hazel and Cha-Cha that might seem a bit distracting, but I enjoyed it. So that didn't really bother me, but some people might look at that as a negative. So my favorite episode from season 1 of the Umbrella Academy would be episode 6, The Day That Wasn't. That's a really good episode. That's an episode that really explains a lot about certain things, and it really kind of sets things more in motion, and it explains a lot of stuff because everything is like thrown at you. This one explains a lot of it. And for a final grade, I would have to give this show an A, a 10 out of 10. I really enjoyed it. Really great. Like I said, the action is great. The music is great. The actors are great. The way they handled this source material was amazing. I can't wait to see season 2 and see where they take this, especially the way this season ended. Did you like this show? Let me know in the comments. If you like this video, hit the like button. Check out some other reviews on the channel. Subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for more videos. Thanks for watching. And if you're interested in the spoiler review will be is on the channel in the annotation, one of these. Go check it out if you want to hear my thoughts on spoilers. Thanks for watching, and peace.
Finish this thought. I am a slave to
the booty.